Hello, everybody, and welcome to Madden and Benz Unfiltered. Tim Benz and Mark Madden, brought to you by American Airlines. Mark, glad that you made it back. I know it was an eventful trip home from Chicago for you.
Tim, I don't know what to say. I almost made a really tasteless joke. But yeah, 8 hours on the ground, 2 hours on the runway. I spent more time in delays coming both ways from Pittsburgh to Chicago. American had me spending more time in delays than in the air. In fact, twice as much time in delays. So I shan't be flying American again.
Are you the kind of guy in the airport that passes the time at the bar and drinks yourself into oblivion, or is it finding other ways to pass the time?
I would like to drink myself into oblivion in this case, but the gate was too far from a bar. Like, you don't want to go to the bar and get so wrapped up in getting blasted that you miss the flight when it finally does take off.
Oh, do they have you like in that little corner?
Frustrated.
They have you in that little corner away from everything because there's just a little plane going to Pittsburgh? Is that where you were?
No, it was a big plane. It had first class, although I didn't get to sit in it. I got to sit in coach for the first time since 1999 and be as fat as possible.
Welcome to life with the rest of us. It's great, isn't it?
No, it sucks. I think I've earned better.
Well, when you were able to spend time looking at your phone or watching, were you watching the draft or were you watching the reaction the Pirates fans react to the draft because they got their next Paul Skeens again, so they're preparing themselves to look beyond when Paul Skeens goes to New York and lives in Babe Ruth's apartment or whatever when Livy Dunn is done with her real estate acquisitions?
Well, the fake KDKA News had a great response. It had, upon being drafted by the Pirates, Seth Hernandez reported himself to ICE. That's pretty good. But, yeah, let's say he does turn out like Paul Skeens. They're wasting this Paul Skeens. Why wouldn't they waste the next Paul Skeens? Although I think Bubba Chandler is the next Paul Skeens, and then Hunter Barco is the next Bubba Chandler, and I guess Seth Hernandez is the next Hunter Barco.
That high school that kid went to had 3 kids taken in the first round, and they didn't get beyond the semifinals of their championship in California. How is that possible? Like, if you're a baseball player on the opposing team and you're like in 7th period geometry and you know you're facing 3 first-round draft choices, aren't you like intimidated before school even ends?
Well, that's in California, right?
Yeah, I guess they ran into some pitcher who spun like a 1-0 shutout or something like that.
Maybe Gavin Newsom's the high school baseball commissioner. Anything weird could happen then.
Yeah, so they actually, I think, Mark, I was doing some history, looking back on this a little bit. Did you know, you remember Lee Lacy from the Pirates?
Yeah, of course, the outfielder.
Yeah, so Lee Lacy's high school was also the same high school that had a baseball team in the 50s with Frank Robinson, Vada Pinson, and Kurt Flood all on the same team. And not long thereafter, or right at the same time, Bill Russell was playing center for the basketball team.
How'd the baseball team do?
They won. They won their championship. I think
That's
it was in
a pretty good
1953.
outfield.
Yeah, not bad, right? Exactly.
Well, you know what? You had to have somebody playing out of position.
Right.
Because Pinson and Flood are 2 of the best defensive center fielders of all time. How do you tell one of them you got to move to right field or wherever? Those
2 could have done the Bugs Bunny thing and played left center and right center and just closed it off together. I think they were good enough back then. But that was just, I mean, I kept seeing this Coronado High School or whatever it was pop up. They had 2 kids go in the top 10. That's never happened before. And then they had another kid with a supplemental pick who's the son of the third base coach of the Dodgers. But the Hernandez kid was the Pirates pick. He went 6th overall. And I saw a lot of what you saw, which is people, celebrating what a great pick it was and how happy that he is that he fell there, and some teams did some weird things at the top of the draft. But, again, it speaks to sort of the comedy of it that this kid was going on and on in his MLB Network interview about how happy he was that he might be able to pitch with Paul Skeens. Like, that's not going to happen. Paul Skeens is going to be a Yankee or a Dodger long before he's ever in the majors.
Well, now maybe the kid's looking way down the road. He can pitch with Skeens on the Yankees or Dodgers.
Hang out in Babe Ruth's apartment in the Upper West Side.
If he's good enough. Yeah, I didn't like the reaction. I didn't like the stooge media just saying how great this was. I also didn't understand why they didn't pick a bat. I mean, they lack bats both at the MLB level and in the system. Why didn't they pick somebody who could hit? And it struck me the answer to that might be that they're happy with the buzz the ace pitcher creates. And maybe it's what's best for business to always have one of those. And now they do have a line of succession in that regard, at least in theory. So maybe that's why they took Hernandez.
So I think that's probably a big part of it. It's because, just in general with the MLB draft, you're looking so far down the line. It's not for immediate planning. But if they think they're going to be able to fill the gap with enough hitters before this guy comes up, they're nuts there. And I think it is more bankable to have a hot shot arm create buzz than it is a position player. But the bankability, especially on right-handed high school pitchers, has not been close to consistent. Like, those guys are really hard to track all the way to the majors.
Yeah, but, to be fair, the Pirates appear to be doing pretty good in that regard, if no other regard. So I get it. I just keep saying again and again, they have the best pitcher in MLB. He's 4-8. They're in last place. Why would the situation with Seth Hernandez be necessarily any better?
If they're going to monitor Skeens' innings after the All-Star break, how would you do it? Would you keep doing what they're doing and just throw them out there for 5 innings a game and pull them regardless of score and circumstance? Or would you just let him have a full reign and more leash in games and then just put him on the shelf in September?
Tim, he's going to be here one more year. I don't give a frig about his arm.
Well, you don't, but apparently they do for whatever reason.
Well, I bet Skeens' agent does. I bet that is the genesis of his pitch count being low. I think it was kept low these last 4 starts to have him able to start the All-Star game. I think it says a lot about the priorities of the teams in question when Zach Wheeler of the Phillies pulls out of the All-Star game, which he might have started, in order to rest for the second half of the season, and Paul Skeens is specifically pitching less so he can be ready to start the All-Star game. And people are going to say, well, the Pirates are going nowhere. The Phillies are a contender. Well, that's correct. But where does that start? Maybe it starts with those priorities as opposed to them being a symptom.
And I know that if you schedule him to start at any point on the calendar, like even September, that's some draw to come to PNC Park as opposed to shutting him down for a full month. But aren't people getting wise to what's happening here? And, unless you show up right away for pitch 1 and he stays through 5 innings, are you getting your money's worth even to go to the game if you know he's leaving after 5?
Well, yeah, and what are we doing, Tim? Turning Paul Skeens into Satchel Paige, where he pitches 1 inning every day so the crowd can see him? At what point are you prioritizing winning ball games? And the answer is they're not.
Yeah, and at what point does he just become an opener or a guy who goes through the order one time? Because it's not all that different. Like, what if he runs into a bad inning or an elongated inning in the 3rd or the 4th? Do you shut him down before he even gets to 5?
Here's my idea, Tim. How about this? Skeens, 2 innings. Bubba, 2 innings. Barca, 2 innings. Hernandez, 2 innings. And then Bednar comes on and blows the save.
Play Renegade and lose the game 2-1 on a home run allowed in the 8th inning or the 9th inning. Yeah, exactly.
Exactamundo.
Yeah, I can see that happening. As far as Oneil Cruz goes tonight, you've said it. I've said it. There is a show element to what he's doing in the home run hitting contest, the Derby. If he goes out there and swings and misses 3 or 4 times, that'll be comedy. It'll also be something that I wouldn't necessarily be stunned to see. And then he can go out there and win it for all I know. And he can hit a couple balls 500 feet, and that's all anybody will be talking about. This is a TV show, not a contest.
Well, yeah, he's a Savannah Banana. He's not an MLB player. He's a Savannah Banana. He's a freak show. He's entertainment. He's not a winning baseball player. And the perfect spot for him is home run derby. I don't think he'll swing and miss unless they have a lefty throwing to him. Wouldn't that be funny? You bring your own guy to throw up grapefruits and he'd bring a lefty because he's so damn stupid. But yeah, it's a good spot for him. I bet he makes the most of it. I bet he wins the home run derby, and Pirate fans act like he's a real baseball player because of it. But Oneil Cruz is not a real baseball player. Nothing close, really.
I was on your show on Friday when you were trying to get to Chicago, and I gave you full credit. I don't know, was this your thing? Did you call it the Palindrome series first?
Yes, I did.
Good for you. I like that one. I wasn't sure if you took that one or if that was one of your own because I liked it.
I did. You win 6, then you lose 6, and the middle 3 on each side are shutouts, except going in the opposite direction. It's not strictly speaking a palindrome like Abel was I ere I saw Elba, but it's pretty close.
What about Bob Nutting? Wow, he's a
Well, and then,
boob.
Tim, they lost 2 more, but they finally did win to keep the Pirates' all-time record 1 game above 500, which strikes me as rather tenuous.
Yeah, they should probably just fold as a franchise now then if they want to hold on to that, because I don't see that maintaining very long.
Yeah, it is such a mess. I mean, like, I hate to get all misty-eyed over the past because I stopped doing that with the Pirates a long time ago. But how would Roberto Clemente feel to see what this team has become? But you know what? I can answer that. He'd be livid, and his kid will rubber stamp it by way of keeping the job.
Well, it's hard to get away from the past during this stretch because of Dave Parker dying and then eventually going into the Hall of Fame. Like, we're living in the past, and people kind of want to stay there because there's at least fond memories to be had of that era.
Yeah, but I look at it almost like it's 2 different teams, 2 different franchises. I hate to in any way connect the Clementes and the Stargels and the Kiners and the Wagners and even the Bonds with this team.
Mark, let's get to the Penguins and the move that they made over the weekend by acquiring a goalie, the guy from the Vancouver Canucks. He's a Latvian. He played a little bit for them and actually got to the 7th game of a second round of a series. I think he won a game 7 for them, got called up in a pinch 2 years ago in the playoffs. Wasn't as good this year. Shilvos, I think is how you say his last name. Artur Shilvos, maybe?
No, I looked it up. It's Silovs. We got it wrong on the podcast. Silovs, yeah.
No, that's how we said it.
That's not.
There's like a silent H in there or something. It's like
I don't
Shilovs.
care what's in there. I'm going with Silovs, and that's what the pronunciation guide on YouTube said. And really, who cares?
Do you care enough about him if he's the number 2? Is he the number 2 creation behind Tristan Jarry now, like Nedeljkovic was? We're going to talk about how much he battles and try to overflate.
No, he might be number 1. He's 6'4". He had a good playoff run with Vancouver a couple years back when all their goalies got hurt. Tim, he's won a playoff series. Tristan Jarry ain't.
Well, no, that's fair.
He's streaky. That's the rap on him. But, he won the Calder Cup. He was AHL playoff MVP this past season with Abbotsford. That's the Canucks farm team. So I think he got brought in for one of 2 reasons, maybe both. One is I think they might have lost faith in, say, Blomqvist, who did not look good during his NHL call-up last year. 2, I don't think they'd want to just hand the job to Jarry. You know what I mean? Like, say, okay, you're number 1 by default, same old story. I think they're paying just that much attention to how the team does this season or, what it feels like in the locker room moving forward at goal. I do wonder what it does with who plays where in the system because now you've got 5 pounds of sugar for a 4-pound bag, 5 goalies for 2 spots in Pittsburgh and 2 spots in Wilkes. So I wonder who odd man out is in Wheeling or just cast aside.
I advanced a third idea, which is maybe this is Dumba 2.0, where they got the guy to sort of buffer in case they could move the contract that seemingly nobody wants.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to move Jarry. The odds are longer for that than even moving Carlson.
What were you hearing coming back from Carlson from Detroit?
Like nothing. You're just getting him off the books is all.
Getting him off the ice, too. They'll be a better team without him, honestly.
Yeah, no question. No, I don't know why Detroit would want him, but the thing is, you can talk yourself into taking a flyer on Carlson because what if even for a short time he's like he used to be?
Well, the Penguins did that. That's how they wound up with him in the first place.
Well, right, exactly. With Jarry, I mean, he's just, never been good. If he's like he used to be, he's like he is right now.
Right. And actually, that was a little bit better because he was at least good in the regular season, but you can never, if you're a contending team, count on him to win a playoff series until he actually does it. You're going to have to see it before you believe it, and right now I don't believe it.
Yeah, so like I said, Silovs, I think they brought him in to probably play more than we think.
No, I could see it. I mean, I could even see it where if my scenario were to take place, he's the number 1, and then one of the other 2 kids is the number 2. I do buy what you're saying, though. Maybe they just saw nothing in Blomqvist, and they don't think Murashov is ready.
Here's the other thing, too. They're not going to rush Murashov. But the other thing is, I think when you have Sid and Gino and Letang and maybe Carlson and guys like Hayes and Achari in that room with Jarry, the starting goalie, I think it feels too much the same. And with the young kids coming up, I don't think you want it to feel too much the same. I think you have to make changes to make sure that doesn't happen. And maybe this is one of those changes.
What, if anything, did you see that you liked from that development camp, Mark? We were up there for the last day.
Zonin stands out.
Yeah, actually, why do people say he can't skate?
No, he looked fine in all aspects of the game.
I thought he was a pretty decent skater. He certainly got from point A to point B. Maybe he's not quick. Maybe he's not great laterally or stop and start, but point A to point B, I thought he kind of stood out, honestly.
And they were playing 4-on-4, so his physicality was somewhat neutered, but still evident. So, yeah, I thought he was the clear standout of the brief time I saw.
What about Brunick? He might be the most important right now anyway.
Well, as I've been saying, Tim, I would, if he's not going to make the team, they should really push him to go to a NCAA Division I college program like Penn State. Because, the way the goofy rules are, if he doesn't make the NHL, he has to go back to junior because he has eligibility. But he's outgrown junior for sure. So he needs to do what Gavin McKenna did, conclude that he's outgrown junior, maybe at the club's behest, and go to a college where he's playing against men, against older players.
You're against the notion that they're trying to tank, right? You think if that were to happen and they wind up with McKenna, it's just through the natural order of regression?
If they were trying to tank, they would trade Sid. You cannot tank with Sidney Crosby. Can't do it. He's too good and he won't let it happen.
What about keeping Raquel and Russ then? I think the last time we talked about this, you think they might keep one but not both, right?
I think they'll probably trade one this offseason and then trade the other at the deadline.
I think they might need one of the young wingers to really show something before they were to trade the second one at the deadline. I don't think they want to leave Sid with nothing.
I think they have to stop worrying about that, period.
Even to that extent that he would have no wingers to play with?
They should do what's best for the team, period, in all instances.
I wonder if they've got in their mind, like you said, the whole idea of you would have to trade Crosby to tank. They probably somewhere, at least organizationally, even though none of the people are still there from a management point of view, have to like the romance of Sid and McKenna being there at the same time.
I don't think they're thinking about that. That is such a long shot.
Is it? They could
Yes.
be. You think there's going to be multiple teams way worse than them in the lottery pool?
Tim, it's the lottery.
Well, I know it's a lot, but you're going to get a higher percentage if you're the worst team.
Well, what's the percentage? What's the highest percentage? Like 18%?
I don't know what it is, but
it ain't over half.
No, I don't think it's not over half.
Yeah, they're not dreaming about. If they're dreaming, it comes under the fantasy heading.
All right, Mark, we got a couple minutes left before we get to comments. Let's talk about the latest surrounding the Steelers, at least according to Patrick Rooney, who I know Steelers sycophants are saying he's not an important Rooney. He's not a real Rooney because he doesn't have ownership in the team. So who is he to comment about the state of affairs that the club is in, which is somewhat apocryphal to me because these are the same people that worship at the feet of anybody who has the last name Rooney. But now that he's saying something you don't want to hear, he is to be dismissed. All right, if you want to dismiss his status within the family tree, go ahead and do that. I certainly think a lot of what he said made sense, including not paying $40 million a year to TJ Watt, including questioning the state of the aging secondary that exists right now, and where they rank in the AFC North, particularly behind the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't have a problem with any of his comments. If a talk show host or a columnist or some dude at the end of the bar made those same comments, I think that guy was knowing what he was talking about.
Well, I talked to Wayne Rooney, Tim, and he says at least the Steelers aren't as bad as Manchester United. Now, as far as this generic Rooney goes, he's right. Just because he's a generic Rooney doesn't mean he's right. Maybe he should be the Rooney running the team. They will be nuts to pay TJ Watt $40 million. It's insanity. And you know what, Tim? Here's what I keep citing. And I challenge all the people listening right now who will be sending their little missives across the bottom of the screen. Give me one logical reason to give TJ Watt $40 million per year. I've been asking that for weeks, for months, and no one can do it. You know why, Tim? Because there isn't one. There is not a logical reason to give TJ Watt that money. Not one.
I think the Steelers know that. I think that's why it's bogged down. And I think that's why they're bantering back and forth over the guaranteed money being the hitch where they can say he's making more than Myles Garrett. It won't be the final number. It won't be the AAV, but maybe they can guarantee him a lot over a short pop because they don't have a quarterback they're spending on, and they won't next year.
I think TJ Watt wants exactly what he wants. More money than Garrett in every way that Garrett's getting money, and he won't move off that.
That is where I think he'll lose this. No,
I don't think he'll lose it. I think he is rightly trusting the Steelers to buckle, to be the weak organization that they are.
That might be true, given their track record of how they've handled similar complaints and issues with veteran players who demand more money. Hey, real quick, Mark, last thing before we get to comments. I was listening to some flashback clips from the Live Aid show 40 years ago today. This is the 40th anniversary of Live Aid. How much do you remember it?
I remember how bad Zeppelin were.
Actually, take that. Yeah, wait a minute. What is today? Today's the 14th, so it was yesterday. Yesterday was the anniversary.
I remember how bad Zeppelin were because they were hastily thrown together. I saw a promo ad for the concert, like, a newspaper ad. Led Zeppelin were listed as Robert Plant. It was originally just supposed to be Robert Plant, and Bob Geldof, who ran Live Aid, recruited Jimmy Page separately, and then John Paul Jones rightly kind of muscled his way in as the Zeppelin bass player. So, but they were awful, under-rehearsed, and just sounded just horrifically bad. So much so, Tim, that if you buy a DVD of Live Aid, Zeppelin is not on it. They refuse to grant a release to their performance.
Because it was that bad.
But more than that, I remember how great Queen were. That is the single greatest live performance by any rock band ever, Queen at Live Aid.
So I went back and looked because I wanted to see what the set list was. And according to the set list site, it says they came out at 6:41 p.m. and didn't stop until 9:48 p.m., but they only played 8 songs? Does that sound right to you? That can't be right.
No, they only did – you got the times wrong. Each group had like 20 minutes, period.
Well, I know that's – I don't know if what they're saying is maybe did Freddie come out at the end? Did they do like a collab at the end? Did everybody do like –
I don't know, Tim. They played Hammer to Fall, Radio Gaga, We Are the Champions. They played the beginning of Bohemian Rhapsody. It wasn't that long. It was just like just such power in a short time. That's part of what made it good was the brevity.
Yeah, Crazy Little Thing Called Love they got in there too. So that's what I was remembering, and I was trying to figure out why the set list times were the way they were. They might have just included them coming back out later at the end or something like that.
Every group got 20 minutes.
Okay. Did you know Michael Jackson and Bruce Springsteen were both supposed to be on that and they didn't show up? Or not that they didn't show up, they didn't sign on. They didn't want to do it.
Yeah, everybody felt they had to do it. Maybe some regret it. Like I thought it looked foolish for Mick Jagger to be out there with Tina Turner and Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood to be out there with Bob Dylan, but the Stones weren't there. Jagger was trying to push his solo thing then. I don't know. It wasn't as good as we remember, except for Queen.
Yeah, right. And the movie certainly went a long way to kind of driving that home in our heads.
You know what else killed Zeppelin too? Was that piece of crap Phil Collins. Wanted to play in both London and Philadelphia. So he played in London, then jetted over to Philadelphia and shoehorned his way onto Zeppelin as the second drummer with Tony Thompson from the Power Station. And he threw the timing all out of whack because he hadn't rehearsed with them at all.
Let's get some comments, Mark. Eric says they'll never win another World Series, but will the Pirates ever win another playoff series? Well, they could.
Who cares? It's a dumb question.
If they stumble in as the last seed and they still have 2 good pitchers, anybody can win a playoff series.
Yeah, I mean, is that the goal? Is that the bar? Is that the best we could hope for?
It is for the football team.
Yeah, good point.
Brian said, this guy's offering you free drink coupons. He works for AA. Which is ironic.
I would rather be an Alcoholics Anonymous than fly American Airlines. No, F off.
This is from 2L.
You know what? If I gave my home address, they'd probably crash a plane into my house.
2L says Hernandez gives them the most buzz, just like Connor Griffin last season, as opposed to a college bat, which would end up a likely major leaguer with a low ceiling. I don't know how low Connor Griffin's ceiling is. I mean, like, if he was a regular prospect at a regular team of this ilk, I would think he'd be a real hot commodity, but it's the Pirates, so I'm just sort of predisposed to thinking it's not going to work out. He's tainted by who he plays for.
No, I mean, the Pirates have individuals work out. I mean, there's no denying how great a pitcher Skeens is. He's just 4-8. You know what's funny, too? Whenever I say he's 4-8, people think I'm blasting Skeens. I'm not blasting Skeens. I think it's hilarious that the starting pitcher in the All-Star game leads the majors in ERA, is 5th in WHIP, and is 4-8. That don't reflect on Skeens.
Well, Mark, I saw something a couple weeks ago. ESPN.com was trying to figure out a different way to judge pitcher wins because of people like Skeens. Good pitchers are on lousy teams that never get wins. And they advanced the notion of doing the original Bill James game score. And like whichever starting pitcher had a better game score, they get the win. And
that's just stupid. Just leave it like it is.
No, I agree with you. But even if you were to do that, the Pirates hitters are so bad, other pitchers are still doing better than Skeens against the Pirates batters because the Pirates batters are so bad. So
you know what? This will come off as stupid, but that's never stopped me before. I mean, if Skeens allows 1 run and loses or 2 runs and loses, okay, allow no runs. You know what you're up against. Do better.
Yeah, at some point, it's like a goalie in the playoffs against a good defensive team, like what we saw against the Devils back in the day in the Eastern Conference. At some point, you're just going to have to win 2-1 all the time, I guess.
And by the way, he has no chance of winning the Cy Young.
No, I think Wheeler right now will.
Well, I mean, if Skeens would finish like 10-11, maybe, you know what I mean? But if he's like 4-8, the equivalency extrapolated over the whole season, like say he's like 8-13. They're not giving the Cy Young to an 8-13 pitcher. His ERA could be 1.2.
You know who else doesn't suck right now, Mark, by the way, is Quinn Priester. He's suddenly 7-2 with Milwaukee and a 3.55 ERA.
They don't need him.
Bill says, I hope that Paul Skeens gets a great deal from the Yankees. Anyone who actually wants to play for the Pirates is there just for a barely above minimum MLB paycheck. Well, that's why people think even if it's just the first year of arbitration in 2027, they're going to move him because it's a matter of not paying him the raw dollars, regardless of what it is versus market rate.
Tim, if he gets $30 million in arbitration, if he gets over $20 million in arbitration in 2027, he gets traded within a week because they are not paying him that. Nothing will ever pay any one player that.
This guy asks, you want Skeens to carry the team while the rest of the team does nothing offensively?
No. If I gave the impression I care at all, I apologize because I don't.
Well, I mean, first of all, that's what's been going on. Second of all, yeah, if you're the best pitcher in baseball, you kind of have to do that. I do just wish that the Pirates were better with him. But, what are you going to do? I mean, it's not even so much about what I'm expecting of Skeens. It's how they handle Skeens the rest of the year if they're going to pull him after 5 innings every game.
By the way, Tim, I want to make a brief comment on how Donnie Ball was officially dead. DEAD, as in permanently deceased. They lost 8 in a row, and even yesterday in the win, Pham dogged the ground ball where he could have beat out the grinder to third, and Sawinski got picked off. The Pirates are the same dumbass team with a different dumbass manager. Where's all his accountability, Tim? I heard, accountability. It's exactly the same. He's Shelty Jr.
Jeremy says, Mark, thoughts on Goldberg retiring finally. I'm not into wrestling anymore, but was a huge WCW fan back in the 90s and early 2000s.
So was I, Tim. They paid me $3,000 a week. I saw Goldberg's final match. I did watch it Saturday night on primetime NBC. And he, he was 58, but he was good. It was a good, solid match. He still looks the part, which is the big thing. And he was a legitimate phenom back in the 90s with his undefeated streak. And actually, I did my best work as a play-by-play, as a color guy, with Goldberg because I was just this snarky, idiot, right? This heel. But when Goldberg wrestled, I would drop all that and call it like the Super Bowl. I would get really serious because he was a real character. And the dichotomy that I gave, like I said, it was my best work. Not that it made me, Bobby Heenan, but I really appreciated what he was and still was on Saturday night.
Richard says, I could see Jari being moved by the trade deadline or next offseason, especially
to who?
Somebody who's desperate and loses a goalie.
Yeah.
Matt Murray's just found a new team, Mark. Teams are desperate.
Yeah, what he signed for? How much?
$1 million.
Yeah, Jari makes 5.372.
Well, I know they're going to have to, regardless of who and where they move him to, they're going to have to eat a ton of it. I think we know that.
I think that Dubas needs to trade all our bad players for all their good players.
Well, Alec asked, can Dubas manage a draft lottery pick despite Crosby and Letang in particular fighting against that? Also fly Delta. I don't know if Delta would be any better. And I don't know that Letang and Crosby are fighting against it per se.
I honestly think that my best path to go, I'm going to fly all the flights I've reserved. You know what I mean? I obviously would have to fly to go to England, right? But I might phase Vegas out of my trips. I think I can get everything I get in Vegas and Atlantic City and drive there and be in control. Like, you get a lot of concerts there. There's some great restaurants there like Chef Vola. Go to Niagara Falls once in a while. They have a lot of good stuff there. That's the direction I might go in because I was as close to cracking up as I've ever been in that airport in Chicago for 8 hours.
I used to say if it's over 6 hours driving, I'll fly. I stretched that out for reasons because of like what you went through to 8 hours. I'll fly if it's over 8. Now I'm at like 10. If it's 10 or under, I'll drive.
No, I'm still holding the line at 6.5. And after that, I just won't go there.
Well, unless it's England, because you got to go see Liverpool at some point.
Yeah, that'll be the exception to the rule.
And if you go anywhere else in Europe, once you get to England, you can just take the Channel and then take the trains wherever, and that's a hell of a lot easier.
I'm not going anywhere else in Europe.
No, have you ever been?
Yeah,
well, I guess you did for wrestling, but
I was there to coach hockey. I went to Australia for wrestling. That awful?
How did the deck hockey team get robbed? I saw they got robbed in some sort of tournament or something last week. You were talking about that online.
The under-20 team. I coached the under-20 team in 2006 when we won the only gold medal. The women won a couple years ago in U.S. ball hockey history. Yeah, they were tied 2-2 against the home team, the Czechs, late. And the Czech coach requested a review of a non-call, and they gave a minor, and the Czechs scored on the power play to win the game. 2 problems with that, Tim. You can't request a review. That wasn't in the rules. And at any rate, if the officials decide to review something at their own behest, you can't review to a minor. That's in the NHL too. You can only review to a major or match penalty. You can't go to a minor because then you could nickel dime every non-call. So, but they did everything wrong, and the appeal was still denied because the Czechs host the tournament. Simple as that. Yeah,
I hate that rule. We see it more. It's abused more often in college hockey, where they'll make anything into a major.
Well, Tim, they need to not go. I mean, I hate to climb on a soapbox about ball hockey on this, but we need to not go. Like, I'll give you an example. When we won in 2006, okay, the record at the end of the medal round, every team had 3 ties. I'm not kidding. Canada, U.S., Czech, Slovak, everybody had 3 ties, right? Well, the rule was that the top 2 teams go to the final. The next 2 play for bronze, right? So they have this meeting. Well, we think to be fair, we should have semifinal games. And we were in the final because we had a 6-6 tie. We were in the final on goals 4 against Slovak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, what are you, crazy? You can't change the rules now. And they go, well, let's hear what the Slovaks think. And the Czech guy said that. I go, listen, the Slovaks have been your stooge in this and historically forever. So I already know what they think. Okay? But I go, you can't change it. You just can't in midstream. And then the Canadian guy goes, well, it has to be unanimous. I go, really? I go, in that case, see at the final, vetoed. We're voting against it. And then I said, and now I'm going to stay in the room until everybody leaves to make sure you don't F me afterwards.
Well, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of that league or how they operate, but
well, I do know that every time that a rule is not followed exactly and it affects the result of a game, the protest gets upheld, except this time.
Well, Mark, you're back on at 3:00 today, right? So you have plenty of platform to take out your grievances. You can air all your grievances from 3 until 6 today.
Tim, I will be on time because I'm not traveling to Bridgeville via American Airlines.
Mark's on at 3 today on 105.9 The X, and then I'm on for the podcast the rest of the week, and I'll be on for Mark later in the month, I think around the 31st or something like that when you're away again.
Sooner or later.
Yeah, and we'll be up in training camp, too, from time to time when the Steelers are there. We're back here next week, Madden and Benz Unfiltered.